Hey everyone, this is my take on the Huawei P40 Lite. I did receive this phone in October of 2020. However, I did not get a chance to put out this review. Life got pretty hectic, coronavirus and all of that. So finally we're back on track. You can expect a lot more videos upcoming in the next few weeks. So here's my take on the Huawei P40 Lite. So in the box you get a supercharger, it's 40 watts. A Type A to Type C cable, a pretty scrap set of earphones, a SIM ejector tool, and of course the P40 Lite. Now you have to take note that this is not the ordinary version of the P40 Lite, this is the 5G edition. So it does come in two colors, black, and this is the space silver that I have here. The space silver is silver, but as you can see it has a tinge of pink in it, which complements this unicorn theme that I've gone for. This is a pretty premium feeling phone. Lots of glass and metal construction all around, and it's pretty light, coming in at 190 grams. While I'm a fan of box designs, this rounded design does look quite nice. At the bottom of the phone there's a headphone jack, the USB-C charging port, and a single downward firing facing speaker. I will always be a fan of hybrid SIM trays. You can either rock one SIM card, two SIM cards, or a SIM card and an SD card. I just like the fact that they give you an option. If you look closely at the right hand side of the phone, we can see the power button with the fingerprint scanner embedded, as well as the volume rocker. Now I must say, I definitely prefer this style of fingerprint scanner. I have really sweaty hands, and it is really difficult to get the under glass fingerprint scanner to work correctly. And here we can see that the fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button works pretty snappy. It's time to take a look at the main display, and yes, it comes in at 6.5 inches, just 0.1 inches bigger than the standard P40 Lite. Yes, it's an IPS panel, no OLED here, so no deep crispy blacks, but it is also HDR10 supported. The panel itself is rocking 1080p at 60Hz, no higher refresh rate here, but that lower refresh rate and lower screen resolution will give you much better battery life. Speaking about the battery life, this phone does have a slightly smaller battery, coming in at 4000 mAh compared to the P40 Lite standard, which is 4200 mAh. However, the specs are another story, and this phone does have a slightly stronger chip than the standard P40. The P40 Lite 5G version is rocking a Kirin 820, while the P40 Lite standard is rocking a Kirin 810. Both phones do have 6GB of memory, and that should be adequate to play just about any game. So now we're going to check out the selfie camera. Now this phone does rock the same selfie camera as the P40 Lite standard. It's a 16 megapixel shooter, f2.0 aperture. It does do 1080p 30 frames a second video recording, and it also supports HDR recording modes. Digging that beauty mode again, I need it. I just wish it would fill in my beard here, man. Come on, son. It's time to check out the main cameras on the Huawei P40 Lite 5G, and you can see it's spotting 4 different cameras. There's a 64 megapixel main shooter, there's an 8 megapixel wide angle, there's a 2 megapixel macro sensor, and there's a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Let's do a small comparison between the different modes. And this is night mode. I must say, night mode is brilliant in the dark. The main video mode does shoot in 4K 30 frames a second. I decided to shoot in a more industrial location to really test the limits of this camera, and it did fairly okay. I shot in 4K 30 frames a second, and as you can see, the camera did pick a lot of those micro jitters up. There's also a dual shooting view mode where it'll use 2 cameras at the same time. It seems more like a gimmick, as the image is really not clear on either of the shots, but it could be useful in certain types of situations. The slow-mo is a no-go as well. That wraps up this review about the Huawei P40 Lite 5G edition. Now don't get me wrong, the P40 Lite is a pretty dope phone, especially at its price. The problem is the Google Play services. Ever since the ban of Huawei in the US, Huawei has been banned from using Google apps and Google services. While this might be a deal breaker for most, you can still download apps on the app gallery and sideload apps. But if you're not a techie person, I wouldn't advise on getting the P40 Lite, especially with no Google Play services. Lots of people that are already using Google are tied into that ecosystem. It's the equivalent of people using Apple and iOS devices. Everything integrates pretty nicely and seamlessly. That wraps up this video. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy.